This professional Valorant team just won a game with only their utility. Okay, well, they obviously had to shoot back, but their abilities were used in the most perfect ways imaginable. Evil geniuses showed off to the world their flawless game sense, decision making, and they did this all with a Sova. They were the only team in the world using them on this map, and some of their rivals have started copying them. So what makes their utility usage so good? How could they possibly be beating teams like DRX, some of the best teams in the world, based off utility alone? Well, I'm just gonna have to show you. Grab your notebooks, everyone, because this is how you dominate on Fracture. Now, before I get into the breakdown, there's this really cool app that I've been using and you should check out. It's called Z-League, and it is the best social app for gamers. I love it. In their feed, you will only see gaming content, none of that other BS you see on other media sites. They also have this teammate finder where you just swipe through and invite your perfect duo to rank up with you. But the best part about Z-League is their new feature called Play Now. Here, you compete against others at similar skill levels and win real-life prizes. You could also play for free, and you choose what and how much you want to win. Even cash prizes. And with their coins that you win, you can exchange them for things like headsets, controllers, and so much more. So go hit play now and watch the free stuff just roll in. Also, be sure to use my link below to download the Z-League app, and you will get 500 coins just by signing up. And if you comment on my post on the Z-League app with the word Viper, I'll pick a lucky winner to run a play now session with. I got 5,000 coins, so there are lots of stuff we can win together. So don't forget to hit me with a follow, and we'll see you in the Z-League app. Now let's get back to the breakdown. This game might be the best Valorant that I've seen played in a very long time. Evil geniuses used to be the laughingstock of North America, but they've proven that every player from top to bottom is a force to be reckoned with. Trust me, they're really good. And so is their pistol strat. They start in a 2-2-1 setup. Wait a second. Is that Sova? Yes, it is, and I actually really like the pick. From the right positions, he can launch cross-map arrows and help out his teammates wherever they are. Plus, the best part about picking unorthodox agents is that teams aren't used to playing against them, meaning that DRX isn't going to be ready for some of these plays that EG has cooked up. His plan here is to shock dart any attackers running through the door, or A main, or recon on the wall to scan people running out so that his dish teammates can spray through smoke and deal massive damage. And Breach and Raze also have a trap setup based off their fault line once she takes contact. And I actually believe Brim and Killjoy were going to pinch this north side of the map with their dish teammates. This is because Breach has full utility, and I mean, Killjoy does have a sheriff. But Teets, isn't buying a sheriff on Killjoy troll? No, not at all actually. If their plan really is to fight, then it's perfectly fine. After all, her turret is the strongest part of her kit by a mile. So if you want extra firepower, then I love the Sheriff pistol buy. But she won't be able to use it. DRX have other plans. They're set up to split B quick with 3 players on arcade and 2 taking B main. They start the round quick by running up and comboing their Breach flashpoint with a Fade Haunt. Demon 1 and Boostio immediately realize that they can't fight this and they have to run back into spawn. And just like that, DRX have the site literally 10 seconds into the round. But EG are strapped for the retake. If you look closely, they haven't used any abilities besides a Brim Smoke and a Sova Shock. And not only that, but Breach and Raze have the perfect reaction. Instead of going back and rotating through spawn, they're pushing through dish and are going to retake through arcade. On Fracture, it's really important that you're always fighting for map control. Had they just gone back and through spawn, their team would only be retaking through 2 choke points and they'd run into suffocating crossfires. But with arcade control, this isn't the case. So once Jawgemo and Ethan make their way to arcade, that's when the retake starts.
See this refight here that's happening over towards arcade again, the back of the box. Should be cleared out. No! The boom was flashed up, still at the back side of it. There's the damage being done. Right through the box. Aftershock as well now in the tower, really starting to feel that heat. Stacks had to hold his ground.
Each ability was placed perfectly. The Boombot to clear arcade, the fault line and paint shells for the punish behind these boxes, the Aftershock to separate the 2 tower players, a flash for Raze taking the rope, and DRX's post plant got destroyed by all of this. Like I said in the intro, they got out-utiled. So with the entirety of B-site and arcade clear, the only spot remaining DRX players could be is main. They have no chance.
Relatively early, but still the time is ticking. That's going to put the pressure once more onto them.
So last round, Evil Geniuses punished DRX for this common setup that teams love to run. They'll put 4 people on one half of the map and have their Sentinel hold the other half with their spy cam or turret. If the Sentinel takes contact, their teammates can make a more educated decision of what to do next. But with the Sova, they can more accurately aim their stun and punish the Sentinel for playing solo over here. And we're going to see a lot more pinches like these. This round, DRX is on their first full buy, and EG are on their bonus. The offense needs this one if they want to keep the game close. And they're starting in a very similar setup as they had on Pistol, 3 in Arcade and 2 South. But I hope Brim and Killjoy are ready, because EG are heading for them with a full head of steam. There's 4 players ready to run it down B main, and Sova is still by rope. Why is he always over here? Well, like I said before, he can bounce a lot of different recons to a bunch of different parts of the map. But I also noticed that he's been using a shock dart at the start of every round. So I hopped in a custom game and I found out that you can double bounce a shock dart to always land at the entrance of A main. This forces the offense to wait it out or face major chip damage. This makes it really similar to a breach fault line. But after his dart, he's lining up a recon to land an attacker spawn to help out his B main players. So how are these two going to respond? EG kicks things off by contacting out B main and quadruple swinging. And as soon as they spot Killjoy's turret, they know she's here. The defense stuns, nades, and Sova's recon lands at just the perfect time. These two are getting pinched.
Now running all the way through. Dart, have to be ready for this one, Buzz. Close to the ropes, it's a wider swing with an A-Porson and back. Showstopper over and away, down across the zip line. Buzz wants nothing to do with it, but Mako is being squeezed. How can he survive? Can he maintain? He can! So good.
Now, if EG had better loadouts, I don't know if DRX would have come out on top. Killjoy managed to take the rope and get out safely, and Mako went big. This left Jawgemo in a 1 versus 3, so he satchels back to B main to get there ASAP. But by tinking a boombot to the face, that doesn't really help his chances.
Bonus round, but Jawgemo with 60 health has got to do it all.
Oh, okay. And he's brought it back just a little. And he's aware.
He's got the reads.
This, potentially hearing the sound cue. He's caught Buzz out and he's forced it into a 1 versus 1 nade online. Lands the shot anyway.
What a clutch. Jawgemo knew that it was possible for someone to wrap sewer, so he checks it, especially since Killjoy took the rope, and he takes down the escapee, turns back to sight, knows Foxy loves to play aggressive, and waits just long enough and clutches up for EG. I wasn't lying, this entire roster is on another level than we've seen them before. Now, because DRX saved their money and only bought light shields last round, they were able to squeeze out another buy on round 4. This economy strat is pretty strong, but EG were able to pick them apart and convert another win on a successful retake. That brings us to this round, where DRX can buy again and have solid loadouts. Their plan is to take B main with these 3 players. Brim is going to apply pressure A, Killjoy is the Warden of the North, but they're eventually ending B with Fade's Nightfall. And EG have a good setup to counter this. They're in a 3-2, and the B players have a strong trap with Breach, who's eventually going to play behind default, and he's going to stun either of these lanes when the execute starts, and Raze is going to fly out of tower with their showstopper. And over on A, these two plan on holding Sands and playing Retake with their Killjoy lockdown. Ethan starts the round with a jump spot for B main, breaks the Fade Haunt, and the offense pushes past the defensive Brimsmoke. Breach knows that the attackers are coming, so he gets into his setup. And DRX are playing it really slow, and for a good reason. They've just come out of a timeout, and teams love to make aggressive plays coming out of them. So once they know for certain that the defense isn't pushing, they group up into B main and get ready to execute. Their Nightfall comes out, Paint Shells, Prowler, Flash, and Breach gets run over. Jawgemo pops his rocket launcher so that maybe he can be the hero his team needs.
Stand a chance, there's a showstopper. Unleashed this way, that way, Satchel's going all over the bloody place. Cannot find a target, no sound cues. He's caught with the ult, finally.
He can't find a kill, and RB takes things into his own hands and takes down Jawgemo. It's a 5 versus 3 in favor of DRX, and they're on pace for their first round win, so we thought. The Jenny smoke fades, and Demon 1 gets the trade on his Raze. Calm hears exactly where the spike is being planted and gets a spam through the smoke. This is why it's important that those of you who died ping for your alive teammates. Now, all of a sudden, this round doesn't look so lopsided. I mean, that's until you look at the utility that DRX still have in their pockets. Look closely. They still have their Orbital Strike, a Brim Molly, and 2 Killjoy Nanos with lineups. This is going to be rough for EG to convert, but not impossible. To bait out the Brim ult, they activate their lockdown, DRX blow it up, and boom, that's 1 Molly down. Calm then moves into tower, Foxy takes him down, but Boostio has moved into arcade to take down the Killjoy playing lineups. He trades out Foxy, but knows someone needs to start defusing, so he caps off arcade with an alarm bot. And Demon 1 knows that Brimstone is also playing lineups, so he pushes and takes him down with 30 HP left. Buzz then realizes that EG were able to stick the spike to half, despite the mollies, and now it's up to him to redeem the round for DRX.
Absolutely disgusting. Diffuse starting to get stuck. That nanoswarm's going to take some time to hit. That's half on the diffuse already. It's bought them time. It's a critical one. Can Buzz still do it?
So last round, DRX managed to pull off a thrifty by punishing EG's flood attempt with some disgusting shots. And hey, they needed that one if they wanted to stay in this game because it forced EG onto an eco of their own. They need to convert because this is the momentum shifter that DRX needs. So this round, they're set up with 4 of their players south and Killjoy up north again. They're gonna hold out for a bit and fend off any pushes with their better loadouts. But EG are confident they can win these fights. Who cares that they have the better buy? They're positioned to pinch this south side of the map with Raisin Breach flying out of B main and these 3 players sprinting out of the gate. The defense starts the round with a stim beacon and they dash out the door. DRX are trying to hold them back with a fault line, Prowler, and their paint shells, but they're also getting pinched in the back. EG have them right where they want. Ethan rips his Rolling Thunder and the bloodbath begins.
Line is huge. Here's the Rolling Thunder. Right through them into the face. Jawgemo is not messing around. He wants the action, he wants the smoke. They still know where the last player is. Ethan aftershock towards the side. Boostio.
Demon 1 invested his orbital strike to catch anyone outside of A main, and Ethan did a perfect job at not overcommitting to allow his teammates to come out and continue the pinch. Buzz is left in a 1 versus 4, but with EG all receiving upgrades, this is going to be a hard recovery. With last round's perfect pinch, EG are back in the driver's seat. They're set up in a 3-2 spread and are fighting heavily for arcade control. But DRX are running it up B main and are clearing out sight with their Killjoy lockdown. But don't worry, EG have something special just for this situation. The defense opens with a flashpoint, Brimsmoke, and their paint shells to secure arcade control, and this nullifies DRX's Haunt and Flash. Breach and Fade are locked out of arcade, so their B main teammates speed up their push, and Killjoy heads into sewer. She places down her ult, and here's where we see that special something in action.
Fox is on that line. Lockdown's going to be used. Anything to try and break this one. That's an aftershock. Shock darts?
They missed the shocks.
Yeah.
Okay, well, they thought they had shock dart lineups to break the lockdown, but they didn't. Now, had the darts connected, they would have been in a prime position with 4 players ready to fight the execute. But because it didn't get broken, 3 EG players got detained, and I'm sure you can imagine how this round ended.
Easy pickings. Skipping a hop, you will not. The time is of the S. All this Utah being used as well. Demon 1 out in the open. Up to just Ethan. Not a winnable.
Okay, so EG messed up last round, but that's okay, because everyone's allowed at least one oopsie. Let's reset the round, and we're looking at a similar game plan as before. EG has double anchors on A, while these 3 on B are going to fight for arcade again. But DRX are headed towards A this time. They're going to play off any information Killjoy grabs up north and react accordingly. But they're close to having 2 site-wide ultimates and will use them if forced to. Don't get me wrong, it is a big investment, but this round is also really big for DRX's momentum. The defense start by flashing for the recon bolt that landed up north, and with this information, the A main players decide to walk out, reading that they aren't contesting this part of the map. Jawgemo keeps pushing and breaks Killjoy's turret, and since they've cleared the north, you see Ethan and Com rotate through spawn and brace for impact, anticipating an A hit. So DRX move up and start their execute. But EG are ready.
As a reaction. Oh, they want to try and fight though. Prowler out. Drone to set it up. Fault line as well. Already working their way through. Lit up. Gonna be the kills returned.
EG lose the fight for Sands control, and DRX feel like there's still a lot of people here. So they rip their Nightfall and Rolling Thunder, and Boostio really needs help.
His face Boostio's got back away. There's a Rolling Thunder. He's locked up, yet stunned up, still lands the kill. Bullet to the cranium, Hunter's Fury to supplement and help out.
All the way from spawn, Com knows that his teammate needs help, so he activates his ult and completely splits apart this execute. DRX's spacing got trashed, and Boostio was able to capitalize and turn this round around into a 2 versus 2. Now, normally this would favor the attackers, but they still need to get the spike down. But when you're playing against 2 shock darts, Raze's paint shells, and her showstopper, you tell me, does that sound like a fun time?
Spike picked up, nade to deny, and another showstopper in the back pocket. There's a shock dart, or at least the recon. And there's a showstopper. Rocketing forwards, blitzering pace, Jawgemo to clean it up.
Yeah, they weren't ever going to plant that spike safely. All game, EG's utility has been in the perfect place at the perfect time. Okay, except for that Killjoy round, but my point still stands. Evil geniuses are simply blowing them out in the utility battle. So after DRX got blown to smithereens last round, they're still in the same setup. They have 3 people pushing A main, Killjoy is holding north, and Brim is holding B main. But EG are catching on to DRX's game plan. Breach and Raze are pushing out of Dish with Sova's help, and Brim and Killjoy are holding Arcade, with their turret holding B main. And this round is important. DRX are down 5 rounds, but if they can win this one, EG will get knocked down onto an eco. Sova starts the round by shock darting the A main run out, and then jumps down to launch a recon dart to help his northside teammates help clear out this entire area. But Killjoy's in a strong off angle. Are EG going to clear Buzz out?
That's what we were hoping to see, I think, heading into this tournament, and you have to be ready for this. Lit up onto the ropes. Will you be able to get out a satchel? You will not escape.
So as the arrow was landing, Breach ripped a flashpoint at the perfect time. Killjoy tried to get out by taking the rope, but Jawgemo wasn't letting that happen. He satcheled out a Dish to punish, recognizing that this is how teams love to play Fracture. The Sentinel plays on one side to gather information, and their teammates play on the other side to take map control and play off the information they're gathering. But all this utility was set up to punish this style of play. In the matter of mere seconds, DRX lost this entire half of the map. And in response, they hurry up their push into A main and take the site without using a lot of utility. But with this newfound map control, EG can now come out of multiple choke points for this retake, similarly to pistol round. This is exactly why it's good to be constantly fighting for map control. All the members of EG move in for the retake, and they kick things off by activating their lockdown on Dish. DRX traded out with their orbital strike, and the real retake begins.
Get rid of that, but I don't think they even want to. Everybody's playing offside, they do. They still have to be using this one. It's a wide face there. Foxy9, he was alone onto the site. He's taken out early enough, a tap onto it. Spikes there, aftershot round the corner, round the side, facing RB. Man of the hour. Reattempt, reaggress right here. Com sticking his half right through the molly. He's pulled a lifeline, yet still...
Well, I mean, alright. EG might have actually gotten util diffed. Stax decided to hide in EG's retake smoke and flashed right as RB took contact. This broke apart the retake, and he was good for 2. Mako also backed up to spawn to launch his molly lineup, and EG couldn't get it to half. Stax then swung out of EG smoke and closed out the round. And man, what a round from both teams. Last round, EG just didn't have the loadouts to contest this full buy, and DRX have put themselves in a good spot to close the half out at 7-5. I mean, hey, not bad after being down 5 rounds at one point. And their plan is to go A again with Raze's showstopper. But EG are fighting A main with 3 players while their anchors try to stall out on B. Who's going to win the battle for this space? DRX start the round by walking up to A main, and they send out a prowler to clear it out. Oh, and Brim threw his stim beacon over near B main to create a bit of pressure, because why not? But Sova's shock dart canceled the prowler out and does some minor chip damage. And because this prowler got shot, DRX charge up a fault line, send out another prowler, and Raze flies out with her rocket launcher. Jawgemo quickly gives up A main and gets back on the site to brace for impact. But right before Foxy gets out of the choke point, Ethan sends a flash from spawn, blinds him, and this completely throws his rocket off course. Combined with Jawgemo's paint shells, and DRX just couldn't come out. They unleash Fade's Nightfall next, but then that gets cancelled out by Ethan's Aftershock. The utility battle was nuts. Ethan makes it out to help his Raze and pushes through the smoke. This fight right here determines the half.
Of bullets, a flash as well to try and push through, and it's a 3-2-1 swing into the smoke. Lit up though. Jawgemo can't hear anything, doesn't know that his position is being swarmed, and there we go, it's covered. Com round the back, and just like that, blink of an eye.
From downtown, Sova launched an arrow from spawn, and this lit DRX up like a Christmas tree. They were able to fight off this crazy execute and the Nightfall because of everyone's perfectly timed utility. And like I said, teams aren't ready to play against agents that they never see. Sova can work on this map. really well, as a matter of fact. This game was not only a perfect demonstration as to how drastically Evil Geniuses have improved, but the perfect showcase on how Fracture should be played, just like in this other game right here.